So he wanted me to put out one more word too. This is kind of like connected to the blessing word that I just posted. But he's saying another thing too is if you're a chosen one and you work for the Lord and you follow God and you find yourself in these random weird times where you're kind of like in need of something at the time, whatever it may be, and if you have people around you that don't follow the Lord like you do, and perhaps they owe like a spiritual debt to the Lord for their sins, don't think it's strange or weird if you're put into positions to where you have to go to them and ask them for any type of help or support or assistance. Even if you don't want to, you'll be kind of like pushed to do it. And that's because that's God pushing you to do it, because he's testing those people through you to see how much wrath they're going to receive, if that makes sense. So I'll give an example. I like to use examples using myself because it's easier for me to convey what I'm trying to say and also for others to maybe understand what I mean. So say if like you are doing okay, right? And all across the board, you're doing okay. But then, and you're following the Lord and you work for the Lord. But then you find yourself at these odd, out of the blue, abrupt, random times where maybe you're in some sort of lack. Say your vehicle breaks down and you now need rides. Or like, say you're in between pay and you're a bit short for rent or short for your groceries for the week or whatever, and you need a little bit of a help out, right? God could send people like angels through strangers and stuff to come and bless you, and he does. But he's saying to me that sometimes he will purposely put you in these positions, and you yourself may call out to him and be like, why all of a sudden is my vehicle broke down? Why all of a sudden am I, lean on the pay between days? I need this right now, whatever, right? He's saying he does these things on purpose because he wants you to be in a position to where you're kind of forced with no choice at the time to reach out to those around you who maybe have done wrong against you in the past. So if you have any friends or family members or associates around you that you are pretty aware, you either know for sure or are fairly sure because the Lord has revealed to you that one way or another they've went against you in the past, they're under wrath, and he wants to go after them for what they've done because they've messed with one of his, and also because they're not working for him like you are and they're supposed to be, and they're living a sinful life. So but say they're like in between. So he's saying that those that are like full sinners, like where they've totally went against you, they don't like you, they don't care, they've went guns blazing at you, those ones are under wrath for sure. You won't even, and you'll know because you won't speak to them anymore. So in your circle surrounding you, if there's people in your circle that they don't talk to you and you don't talk to them, like it's a cutoff on your end and cutoff on theirs, that's most likely because they have at one point in time in the past went against you big time. And because of that, God won't even allow them to be in a position to bless you in one way or another, because they're just strictly under wrath, and that's it. Because maybe they did too much, maybe they're too much of a sinner, maybe they're not even lukewarm, they're just fully cold, they don't even consider him at all whatsoever, or even worse, they just work for Satan, they know it and they don't care, right? Those ones are not who I'm talking about. Those ones aren't part of what I'm saying. I'm talking about those around you who you wouldn't consider as like evil people per se, or maybe even though they've done some things against you, they've also done some things for you, like they're kind of an in-betweener, like they are 1 foot in for you and 1 foot out for you. So they've done some things against you that have earned them some wrath from the Lord, but they haven't been, as full on guns blazing for you as these other ones have. So they're in a different category where they're being tested, and the testing serves a purpose for the Lord because it determines how much wrath basically he's going to pour out on these people. So say you have people in your circles in the last whatever recent past, whatever it may be, say in the last few months or few years, that have completely went against you. They don't like you, you don't like them. It's just, there's bad blood there. Those people are under wrath for the things that they have done against you, because you now work for the Lord and you're one of his, right? But then, and especially if you're a chosen one, of course. But then if you have others that are in your circle, and he's telling me mostly family members. So as we know, family members can be really for us or really against us or somewhere in between. So I'm using them as the example because they're a good example of a type of person that would be in between. So say in the past, they've maybe done some things against you that just were not right, but yet they've also helped you out in ways too. So they've kind of been a little bit for you, a little bit against you. God will put you in positions now on purpose, like just out of the blue, to where you basically have to go to those family members and ask for some help. So just say your brother or your sister, you guys got along, but you didn't get along. They were bad-mouthing you behind your back, lying about you behind your back, but yet they would like maybe babysit your kids or like, help you out in between paydays or something. If you still associate with them and your vehicle is broken down on you, this is all just an example, God will push you to be asking them specifically for rides until you get your car fixed, your vehicle fixed. And you have other options. You could maybe ask someone from work instead, or you could maybe pay for cabs or something like that. But God's like, no, like he's literally pushing you. And it's not your first choice. You're not jumping up and down to run to this person, but you're being like kind of led to it or pushed into it. That's because that's God basically in a roundabout way saying to you like, okay, this person, this sibling, this brother or sister has to go under testing now, because I know that they've babysat your kids for you in the past and helped you out here and there, but they also simultaneously at the same time, talked bad about you, lied about you, whatever. So they're kind of like, they did some good things, but they've also did some bad things. So God is wanting to determine what category to put them in. Like, should he really go hard on them or only halfway hard on them? What to do here? And their verdict, what God's going to choose to do, depends on how they treat you. So if you go to them for these rides and they say no, and you can tell that like they just aren't trying to accommodate you, if they don't have a vehicle at the time or something, that's different. But you know what I mean? If you're getting the cold shoulder, if there's just no love, no support there, then God's going to be like, okay, they failed their test, off they go under full-blown wrath. You know what I'm trying to say? Whereas if they're like, yeah, I can do that, and they come through for you, then they get some points for that. So God may go easier on them or even put them under the wrath for what they've done, because we all have to reap what we sow. But he might give them some blessings in there, right? So he's using people, he's using you to test people, basically. And like I said, the ones that you know of that were just completely against you, those aren't even in this equation. These are ones that were kind of hot and cold, on and off with you. God doesn't really know, like he knows obviously what to do with them, but he wants to see, so he's going to test you and them, because he's testing them mostly to see how they respond to you and your requests. But he's also testing you because he knows that you maybe have other options to do things, or he might put you in a position to where you have no other options. Like, because maybe you were using other options, and like maybe you were going with cabs for a while, and he's like, no, and he dries up your money so you can't take cabs anymore, so that you have to ask for those rides. Like he may put, like somehow, some way, he's going to put you into some sort of a position to where you're having to ask these people for something. And most likely it's not going to be anything really, grand or over the top, but it will be just little things like I said, some rides for a week or something like that. And this is all done on purpose by the Lord, because he wants to test if you're going to obey him which you will if you follow him, of course, but he knows that. So therefore he mostly wants to test these other people, because he knows that he doesn't have their full obedience from them like he has from you. So he wants to measure them and see what they're going to do when they're put in these positions. So as you know, you work for the Lord. So when he speaks to you and says, hey, go ask your brother for rides this week, you'll go ask your brother for rides this week. You may say to him, no, God, can I please take cabs? He's like, no, there's no money now. You have to go ask. So, and you'll do it because you work for the Lord. You obey him. However, these other people are lukewarm. They're not full evil Satan followers per se, but they're also not as righteous as you are, working for the Lord like you are, right? So he'll put you in that position to test you. You, of course, will follow through, but he mostly wants to see what they do next. What's their next move? Are they going to accommodate you or not? And what they choose to do will equate whatever type of wrath they get in return. So I don't know. I hope this makes sense to someone, and I hope it blesses you.